Every for more Kwabakesi pa Eba ENKASA TV. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel ENKASA TV. Uba like, uba commenting, or your comment section. Ubi and when your notification bell on the song. Miss Hebea, ya uploading new videos and some can be carried. Every for inside near trending news, near politics, near entertainment news. They be any diet, they brought Emma Wutia who say yes, news papa pa any. Every for an ancient send be a trouble over social media and so. And now me person me know your call, you could see your bobo who you near the comments about our comment section. Yan channel, subscribe to ENKASA TV. Like you comment it or your comment section. We be and when your notification bell on the summer. Make sure we be also a shout to other pages. Say by your news no ever quite tree. Yan channel you go to my sister. Me das.
A story about how 2000's running mate was picked. All right. This story involves 3 men. Okay. The first one is Joshua Hamidou, General Joshua Hamidou, very distinguished army officer. Joshua Hamidou was the one who held the military forces together in 1979. If Joshua Hamidou was not there in 79, the other ranks of the army would have killed every officer. They said they are going to kill every officer and they are going to kill every businessman. If you read Professor Bennett's book, it's there. The soldiers said they will kill every officer and kill every businessman. Because Aluta Continua and power to the people, and that they were led by J.J. Rawlings. Okay, Hamidou it was who stabilized the situation a little bit. He was a general at the time, very good guy. So he had fallen out with Rawlings and went abroad. And he had kept his relationship with Kufuor, and I believe that he had known Buzia and all of that. He had a lot of confidence in General Joshua Hamidou. Okay, so it was pretty obvious that General Hamidou was going to be the running mate of J.A. Kufuor. That was pretty obvious. It was there. It was happening. It was going to happen. The story I'm telling you today happens on a Friday morning, sometime in the middle of 2000. I, as a common reporter in Joy FM, sitting down and waiting for the front page program, which started at 8 o'clock on Friday mornings, and it was led by my board chairman, Kweku Sechiado. Now, so this story is about Kweku Sechiado, Tony Aidoo, and Joshua Hamidou. That's the story I'm going to tell you. It's a very interesting story. Kweku Sechiado, host of Joy FM's front page, leading journalist, global journalist. At that time, Kweku was also reporting for CNN and BBC. And Tony Aidoo was Minister for Defense under the Rawlings administration, actually Deputy Minister for Defense, but a very powerful deputy. And Joshua Hamidou was in contention to become Kufuor's running mate for election 2000. These 3 men, the 2 gentlemen, appeared on Kweku Sechiado's front page program on Joy FM. Huge radio political program. Huge. Very, very huge. Okay. And so I was there as a reporter and Tony Aidoo came in. So our work is just to make sure that everything is fine and all of that. So I knew him. Tony Aidoo and I had a lot of conversations together. One of the most respected brains in Ghana is Tony Aidoo. I have to say that. I've engaged with him several times. When he used to live at the Ridge Roundabout, I'll go there, sit with him and talk. That time he was Deputy Defense Minister. I'll go to his office. I had a lot of conversations with Tony Aidoo. And he's a great brain. So on that day, when he arrived, he saw me. He said, "Paul, you are here." I said, "Yeah, boss, I'm here." He said, "Today I'm going to release a bombshell." Tony Aidoo was like that. "Yeah, I'm going to release a bombshell, and you and your MPP people." In those days, when they said of me as MPP, I'll say I'm not MPP and that kind of thing. Now I don't say that anymore, but I used to say that. So Tony Aidoo said, "You and your people, you're going to see." This is the year 2000, 22 years ago. Okay, all right. So then he said bombshell. So as a reporter, as soon as he said bombshell, I said, "No, I need to look at this program very well." So I started asking the people who work on the program that, "Do you have a recording? Can I get a tape after the program?" They were wondering why, Sambanaman and co. But because Tony Aidoo had told me he's going to do a bombshell, I wanted the story, right? So the program started. And I don't remember the first question Kweku Sechiado asked, but he asked a question of Hamidou. And sometime in Hamidou's explanation, Tony Aidoo interjected and told Kweku Sechiado that, "Look, Joshua Hamidou has spoken for 20 minutes. I am going to take the same 20 minutes. If he speaks 20 minutes, I speak 20 minutes. Sechiado said, "That's fine, no problem, Tony Aidoo, calm down. You'll be okay, calm down." Hamidou spoke impeccable English, I have to say. And so he had done his rendition of, I don't remember what it was, but it was an introductory remark. But he spoke for that long, 25 minutes or so. 25 minutes on radio is very, very long. So it got to Tony Aidoo's turn. And Tony Aidoo, I remember that the host, Sechiado, was concerned that Tony Aidoo is not addressing the question. He's talking about something else. Tony Aidoo had a dossier. I don't know whether it's true or not. I still don't know. We really cannot vouch for it. What was his dossier? Now, Tony Aidoo and the NDC were aware that General Hamidou was being prepared to be the running mate of J.A. Kufuor. They were particularly worried about the popularity of General Hamidou in the north and thought that if Hamidou became J.A. Kufuor's running mate, all the Rawlins gains of the North will be eroded, because Flight Lieutenant Rawlins was very powerful in the North in those days. And the NDC were concerned that if General Hamidou becomes Kufuor's running mate, as they are hearing, then the gains that Rawlins is getting in the North will be eroded. Given that Kufuor was an Ashanti candidate and was going to mass up the votes in Ashanti as he had done in 1996, they were particularly worried that the Mills ticket was not going to win the election if Hamidou was the running mate. So they needed to do something about this Hamidou matter. This was Tony Aidoo who had to do this something. So this story came out. I don't know whether it's true or not. On the front page program, Tony Aidoo said he's going to say something today. And that something he's going to say is true. And that General Hamidou is a murderer. So, everybody was, what is Tony Aidoo talking about? General Hamidou a murderer? He said, yes. And Hamidou started getting upset. He said, please. He said, oh, Hamidou, stop that. I'm going to tell you. I'm speaking as Deputy Minister of Defense, and I'm bringing you the records from Burma camp. And I'm telling you that General Hamidou, it was you who included a free first name in the execution. For young people who are watching me, you will not understand it. But I'm sure for the older people who are watching me, once I've just said, they will say, hey, because it meant a lot. That if it was Hamidou who included a free first name in the execution, that meant a lot. And Tony Aidoo continued reciting, so the program ended abruptly. That's how bad it was. The program didn't continue because Hamidou got angry. Tony Aidoo actually stood up. Kweku Sechado was trying to control them. He played music and he addressed both men. He was very serious about his work. Tony Aidoo left the studio. He went out. So I had friends who were working at the castle at the time. We were doing national service at the time. So I quickly called them. And I said, what's happening at the castle? They said, Charlie, everybody's listening to Joy. I said, is Jerry there? They said, yeah, they are sure Jerry's there. They don't see him. They are national service, but they don't see him. But they are sure Jerry's there. Everybody's listening to Joy FM. All the soldiers, everybody's listening. And I said, but the program has ended. They said, yeah, they know. I said, okay, keep your eyes there. Tell me what happens. So another 35 minutes, they called me. And I said, what to say? Hey, Charlie, Tony Aidoo came back here, the rousing welcome he got. I said, I see. He came to the castle and said, yes, he's here. The welcome, everybody is screaming. I said, wow. So the NDC may have achieved their objective. So that's how the program ended. Tony Aidoo said that it was General Hamidou who added a free first name to the list. Now let me come back and tell you the story. So this list they are talking about is a list of people who were executed in 1979. Flight Lieutenant Rawlins has continuously put out the view, and I believe him, that he was not altogether in charge of the executions. Actually, Boachijan has said so as well, that JJ was not in charge of the execution. JJ was the leader of the group, but he wasn't in charge. Of course, Ba Chamfor, we have a video of him who is saying to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that Rawlins was not altogether responsible for the executions. So names were written of people who were executed. Kutua Champon, F.W.K. Akufu. Odato Wellington had died in the battle. And others, Joya Medome was killed. Vice Masaya Boachi. They are soldiers who were listed and killed. Okay. Afrifa had been leader of government in 1966. He was part of those who did the Nkrumah coup, overthrew Nkrumah. He did a coup with Kotoka. Later, Kotoka died at the airport, and that's how the airport is named after him. He died in a counter coup that some shooting occurred and Kotoka died. So Afrifa became the de facto leader, sort of. General Ankara had a corruption problem and was eliminated. So Afrifa became the de facto leader. So by the time power was being handed over, it was Afrifa who had the big story. Okay. Afrifa then decided to retire from the army and become a politician. So in 1979, he ran for elections as a member of parliament for Mampong in Ashanti. Guess what? He ran for parliament not on the Ashanti party ticket, which would have been the Popular Front Party, Victor Usu's party. He ran on the Oforiatta ticket, which is the UNC, United National Convention. So Afrifa was the only candidate in Ashanti who was not PFP. Every candidate in Ashanti, at that time, Ashanti had about 32 constituencies, the highest. Every candidate there was PFP. PFP won every seat in Ashanti, just as Nal won every seat in Volta region. Nal is what became the NDC, if you like. Okay, so Afrifa was the only one who was able to win a seat in Ashanti that did not belong to the PFP, belonged to Power Willis UNC. Afrifa was very, very powerful, and he won that in Mampong. So he had been elected as a member of parliament, waiting for inauguration, when the soldiers went to Mampong, grabbed him, brought him to Accra, and shot him dead. And so the concern was, but if you are killing people who had been in government and you see they are corrupt, what has Afrifa done? He has finished government 10 years ago. He has stayed in Ghana. He has done his farms. He's become a politician. Why did you go and kill him? And since 79, the story had lingered on in the minds of Ashanti elites, and they were very concerned about the inclusion of Akwesi Amankwah Afrifa. J.J. Rawlings is reported to have told Otufo Pokuwari several times that it wasn't his idea, he was against it, because Pokuwari was interested. Why are they killing my dish here? So that was the concern, that's the philosophy. And J.A. Kufuor comes out of the belly of the UP in Ashanti. He comes from he comes from Apijafie, he's a royal. So the Afrifa thing is a big story for all of them. Then comes Tony Aidoo, who tells the general public that Hamidou was responsible for Afrifa's list name on the list. You can understand the consternation that created in Ashanti region. Everybody was concerned. And the question then went to Kufuor that, would you still have Hamidou as your running mate, so that he becomes vice president if you win this 2000 election that we think you're going to win, when he was the one who is being alleged to have been responsible for Afrifa's execution? Kufuor loved Hamidou. Everybody loved Hamidou. He was a gentleman. He spoke well. Great soldier. Great brain. Everybody loved Hamidou. But this was a sticking point. This one was a sticking point. So I believe J. Kufuor took the decision that, well, I have an election to win. If I become president, I can do anything I want with Hamidou. At this stage, I don't want any consternation in my home region, Ashanti. I need to grab 76% of Ashanti votes. And Ashanti includes Mampong. Akwesi Amankwah Afrifa's home. I can't have this happen. In fact, Kufuor had the plan in his mind that if he were to win the election, he will go back and exhume the bodies of the murdered generals and rebury them. And he did. He did. Akufo-Addo, as Attorney General, one of his first responsibilities was to go and exhume the bodies of the generals and rebury them. And Akufo-Addo appeared in Mampong for Akwesi Amankwah's funeral. The funeral that was done in 2002 from 79, because they